Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Zelda 2 The Adventure of Link. In the last part, we got here to the eastern half of Hyrule, and did Dungeon 3 in the process, I believe? I forget. And now we're going to continue on here in the town of Darunia. Now here in the second section of town, you might notice that that house is unique back there. It has a chimney. And what do we do with chimneys in games? More often than not, pull a Santa Claus. That should have broken his legs. Then again, half the stuff I do in this game should have pretty much killed me. Anyway, this house is entirely optional. But in here you get the upward stab. It controls exactly like the downward stab, except you press up instead of down. It's pretty good for enemies who not only fly, but also like to jump a lot. Like certain other enemies we'll be seeing in the final dungeon. And there's only one other thing to do here in Darunia, because as you might remember last part, we found a child over there on Maze Island to the east. And, well, he belongs to this village, and this 70-ish-year-old woman is his mother. I'm guessing she adopted him or something. But this is the home of the wise man for the town. And this is a required wise man, unlike some of the other ones we've found, so you might want to go and do this. And he gives us... that's actually a bit of a misleading text there. It doesn't strengthen your shield. It's not another shield spell. But it is the reflect spell. Pretty much you can now reflect any projectiles that are thrown at you, or at least specific ones. I'm not sure about the little fireballs that like the random statues throw at you or the wolf heads, but I know they reflect certain things for a fact. Anyway, we're back in Maze Island because, well, this is obviously where the palace is, and I figured, I might as well spare you guys the backtracking back here. The path I'm going on right here is not the most convenient one, but it's one of the more convenient ones, because, as you may have noticed in the last part, there's a lot of hidden encounter points in this area. Not enough to be considered annoying, but enough. Hey, bots. You guys are easy. Well, you are now. And basilisks, I don't need to fight you. The downward stab is actually, as you just saw, much more useful than it is just for damage. You can also use it, as I think I mentioned earlier, to bounce above enemies to entirely skip them. Pretty much the way that the Maze Island works in general is that the most convenient path in terms of less battles is also the longest, whereas the shortest one has a lot of battles along it. Which is a fairly typical thing for RPGs, really. And I'll be honest, I don't have the path for this place memorized. I think I had to go around up there, but eh. I really should just be downward and upward stabbing these guys, but I just don't care enough. Anyway, here is the Maze Island Palace. And our normally safe screen isn't so safe anymore because we got a MOA. This is actually one of my least favorite dungeons, just because it is really actually kind of tough and maze-like. What the... Did you guys just... Nah, it was probably nothing. But the thing is with this palace is that it's actually kind of a weird backtracking one. Because, the boss is technically to the left of the entrance in terms of the path to get to him. Because it's a one-way shot. However, to get the item, we need to go to the right and do all the other stuff, which is annoying. Enemies aren't... There's not many new ones, if any, that I can remember for a fact. I know we'll find some new ones later on, though. Also, I hope you have plenty of MP, because you're going to need it in this place. And remember, if you get a game over in this place, you're sent all the way back to that palace that we started the game off in. You're going to want to use jump here, because you're required to use it to get over that pit, for some reason. And Doom Knockers. I will say, fighting enemies with the downward stab is kind of awkward when you have the jump spell activated. Just because you jump far higher than you're used to. Also, that's technically a new enemy there, Fire. As far as I'm aware, it's completely... Whoa, that's a video glitch. I'm not sure how I didn't notice that during editing, but pretty much first off, what I did was to just walk to the right slightly. But the Fire essentially is, it's an immortal enemy that just causes damage, nothing else. There might be a way to kill it that I'm not aware of, but eh. Be careful of the Doom Knockers, by the way, because the maces do come back like a boomerang effect. And they will likely hit you into the lava, which is instant death. And now we commit suicide. Or not. Make sure you hold right to get into this passageway, because we need a key that's over here, if I recall correctly. Or is this where the dungeon item is? I forget. And I hate this room for one reason and one reason only. More blue wire knuckles. Seriously, these guys can go die in a fire. I don't even need their experience much anymore. Though, as you can see, this is around the point where the experience requirements get ridiculous. And we just got the boots. They are not like the ones in Link to the Past downwards, where they can give you a run option. Instead, on the overworld, you can now walk on certain tiles you couldn't before, like water or certain rivers, like the river outside the palace, actually. Which, on my way out of the palace, I forgot I could do entirely. And hold right there again, because that bridge will kill you if you don't. I'm actually not sure what happens if you die there, because I'm always too cautious to be able to have that happen to me. Ooh, boy. I hate knockback in this game. I don't mind it much in Castlevania, but then again, if I'm getting hit a lot in Castlevania 1, the mummy boss and the final stage aside, I might be doing something wrong. That bubble's going ridiculously fast. Also, bubbles no longer take that long to kill, actually. Before they may have taken like a minute, whereas now they are easily like 10 seconds. But you still have to downward stab them to be able to make it go that fast. Like I try to do here, but then I just say, screw it, let's go. What the? I hate it when that happens. That doesn't actually happen in many Zelda games when they get stuck on geometry. I'm not sure why. I know it doesn't happen in A Link to the Past, at least not often enough for me to notice. And I know it doesn't happen in the 3D games, because that would just be really, really bad if they did in a 3D game. Anyway, the clan! No! Anyway, the Ku Klux Klan here is actually the Wizrobe enemies. They will not die to your normal sword strikes. In fact, you need to use the Reflect spell and deflect their lasers back at them. And I hate this. No way, is it the room I'm thinking of? Yes, it is. Exactly like a room from the last dungeon. Wolf heads everywhere. I hate these guys so much. And now I have to dig all the way back out. Seriously, screw those rooms so much. I think that's one of the last ones, though, like that. There might be one more that I can't remember off the top of my head. Anyway, heading up this elevator actually takes us back to the entrance of the palace. Or at least the hallway near the entrance of to the palace. So pretty much we just went in a giant circle. Seriously, what is with these Wizrobe designs? Their official concept art looks quite a bit more different. Or at least in the American manual. I'm not so sure about the Japanese manual and such. Actually, don't I have the manual? Because I know I have the cards, but did it come with the manual? I forget. The answer to that question is yes, it does. Does. Actually, you know what? You need the upward stab at this point, so you can get that. Huh, never mind. So it's not optional. Let me look in the enemies section of this manual here. Moblins, blah blah blah. No, by the looks of it, they don't have the Wizrobe art in here. Oh. Back when manuals had maps. I miss that. Then again, am I the only one that actually misses the manual? Now we only get that, like, little slip. Because I actually liked reading those in my spare time. I know someone who actually read the manual, they gasp. I wasn't paying attention for, like, the past 3 minutes. Okay, then. Anyway, this is a room that is annoying. Well, not really. It looks like a wolf head room, but you just need to come in here for that pee bag and this key, which I conveniently speed up past because that took, like, 2 minutes. Well, not 2 minutes, probably closer to 45 seconds, but still, that's annoying enough. And we're actually in the final stretch of the dungeon. No, we're not. Well, yes we are, but we aren't at the same time. And this room arrangement again. Yeah, I will say, Zelda 2 is somewhat guilty of copy and pasting certain room environments just with different enemies. But I don't mind it much here in Zelda 2 because, the game is at least fun enough for me to ignore that. Zelda 1 and Metroid 1, not so much. Metroid 1. You're probably the last Metroid game I'll record. No, actually, wait. Prime 2. Prime 2, easily. Because Prime 2 is just, Anyway, enough Metroid and my Zelda, even though they're both franchises I absolutely adore. Also, why are they still throwing tin suits at us? We're in Dungeon 4 of 6. If anything, they're just more of an annoyance because they just take a small amount of life and a small amount of experience points away from you. Oh well. I didn't design it. Anyway, here's the final stretch of the dungeon. Sorry about that. A lot of the elevators look alike in terms of their positioning. Also, remember, like I mentioned in a couple dungeons, this purple is exclusive to the American and European versions. In the Japanese version, it's all the solid gray of the first dungeon. And I have to thank them for that, because it at least adds a bit more flair to it. Also, you know what's annoying in this game? When you get so close to getting a level up before beating the boss, but you don't, so you just wasted essentially a free level up. That's happened a couple times, I'll admit to that. Not here, though. Well, kind of here, not really. Anyway, time for the boss. I recommend using Shield off the start just because he does a good amount of damage, and then use the Reflect spell because it's required to beat him. And the boss of this dungeon is Karok. Strategy, go to the left, duck, face right, and wait. This is it. The only time he'll really hit you is if he teleports right on top of you, which doesn't happen that often. And we will be seeing this kind of strategy later on in the game, just telling you now, for those who were looking forward to possibly seeing me do a certain fight legitimately. Because screw that fight. Karok, really easy, but he does do a good amount of damage, I'll admit to that. And it's time for us to put the fourth gem into its weird Moai statue thing. Seriously, what are these things? And that's Dungeon 4 of 6 completed. And give me that free level up. Also, that's one thing I should mention right now. In between this part and the next part, I'm actually going to be grinding 2 levels. And also, you can walk on that river down there. I teleported over here just for convenience. Yeah, I grinded the Tektites for 2 levels right then. It took me around an hour, nothing too bad. Just don't die, but then again, with the free health and MP restore in that town, you shouldn't really die to begin with. And we're actually heading towards the next palace right now, but first, we want to head up here, now that we have the boots, we can walk on this water, obviously. Because there's a rather well-hidden power up in here. Use the jump spell to get it, by the way. And what is it? The second to last heart container. We are now very healthy. Not the healthiest, but very healthy. But with that, I'm gonna need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 6, or episode 6 really, we'll be taking on the Ocean Palace over here to the right. See you guys then.